Hi, Nicky. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm going to briefly introduce myself before we start having the discussion. My name is Nancy Florence. I'm an expert coach for busy mums in business and high-flying careers. I'm really passionate about supporting modern moms to really fulfill their dreams, to really go for their wildest ambitions with their children, with a no excuse policy, and with a lot of passion and enthusiasm for life. So Nicky is, for me, the definition of the modern mom. She's
Wow, what a title. Thank you.
Yeah, you are. Um, Obviously, Nicky is my friend. We've been following each other for probably over a year now, actually. And I've seen your work. And just to let you know, Nicky, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. But Nicky is basically an actor, coach, writer, speaker, and a mom to a gorgeous boy who's 18 months old. So, without further ado, Nicky, I'd love you to introduce yourself. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love chatting about this kind of stuff. It really lights me up. And what I find is sometimes when you're a mum, we're all kind of getting on with our own lives, and it's really important to hear this kind of stuff. I know myself that I found it so useful because when I became a mum, I became really ambitious, and I didn't expect that. I thought I would almost retreat back into myself and kind of not show up for my own dreams anymore or things like that because I'd be wearing that mum label. And actually the opposite happened. I became really crystal clear about what I wanted, what I wanted my life to be like. I kind of got rid of any sort of crap that wasn't helping me. I mean, obviously it's always a work in progress. So now I'm in this position where I combine those things that you mentioned: actor, coach, speaker, writer, and a mum. And I am your portfolio career freelancer. I became an actor. I've been an actor for 25 years. I went to drama school in London, moved here at 18 with a big old rucksack and a big old bag of dreams, and had a very successful acting career, which was wonderful. And then things kind of sort of plateaued a little bit, and I was determined to see if there was a way that I could be in control of my own career a little bit and be in charge of my own destiny. I was really sick of waiting for the phone to ring. I've got a business head. I hate just feeling like I'm not in control of stuff, and I like to be really proactive. So that's kind of how I came to coaching in that way, because I was looking for a solution. I was looking for the strategies to help me figure it out, and coaching has been wonderful for me in that, because what it's allowed me to do is have my out of work actor job, but also it has opened up those opportunities of being a coach and a writer and a speaker. And as I've moved from helping actors, and I have a lot of online courses and support and things like that for actors, I also do work with a lot of creative mums who want to still combine that own blend, that own pick and mix of what they want to do. Like we were talking about earlier, sometimes when you have a baby, people think, well, that's it for you, that's it. And it's far from the truth. I really believe you can do everything, not necessarily all at the same time, and definitely without, you need some help in some capacity, whatever that might be. We are not superhuman people, and this is not to say that I have it right all of the time. Sometimes, as you can see, breakout, bags under the eyes, teething baby, it's full on. But generally, I'm really kind of feeling this sort of blend of what I wrote down many years ago, which is a nice place to be at 35.
Wow, you are such an inspiring woman, and I can't see your dark circles around your eyes. So thank God for foundation and concealer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? That was one of the first things that I did when I started to really go back into work after becoming a mum. is to really invest in myself again, because I really noticed that, especially when you have the baby, you give so much. You buy the best buggy, you buy the thing, you know, your child is in some kind of cashmere sheepskin situation, and that was the first thing that I did. I went and bought some more clothes. I chucked out all my old maternity leggings, bought some really great makeup, and started, you know, sometimes you think, oh, it feels shallow, but you know what? If you've had a kid, do what you need to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And my manicures and pedicures have become a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
I preach about self-care all the time, because being selfish as a mom is actually a requirement. It's a must, because from that place of feeling good, we have so much more to give.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So this is a really important conversation to be had right now. We were talking about how, you know, we're in 2017 now, and recently in the media there was some scandal around Instagram moms and a lot of controversy around mothers who choose to have a business alongside raising their children.
What?
So, what? How dare they? Yeah, right?
Goodness sake. Yeah.
And I wanted to speak to you about that, because I'm actually in the process of writing a book for modern moms like yourself and me, which is pretty much a survival guide to support mothers in coming to terms with their identity as modern moms, as career moms, so that they really give themselves permission, first of all, to be an unconventional mom. And I mean this in the most loving way, because I think one of the most difficult things for us in our generation is to go against the advice of mother and stepmother and grandmother, who perhaps had a very different life. Maybe they were the first women who were working, but maybe they had one job for life. Maybe they didn't have a business. And so, whereas we are obsessed with social media and our businesses, maybe they had a more kind of like 9 to 5 kind of life, and coming home and cooking from scratch. And so the roles are evolving. And I wanted to speak to that. I wanted to really speak to all the mothers out there who are feeling super guilty about, you know, being consumed with their business, about having that fierce ambition, about pulling the laptop out at every opportunity when the kids are watching a movie, because I think this is going to be the new way for a lot of moms actually to earn a living. Flexible work is not that flexible. I see a lot of moms going from their 9 to 5 into their home to create wealth from their laptop. So it's moms like you and I think, who are, you know, very much leading the way and on the verge of something that's really, really special. So Can you speak to that?
Yes. Well, like I mentioned, I have become very ambitious, and I know you've got girls. I've got a son, but it doesn't matter actually about gender. It really doesn't, because the world is opening up in the most amazing, brilliant ways. And I wrote a post about it the other day, that we have to keep remembering that anything is possible, and we're in a very fear-based society at the moment. And I'm very conscious of my language around my son, because I really want him to believe that anything is possible. And one of the things that I do and really make a conscious effort to do is, when I am going to work or I'm going to do a meeting, and I'm not at the stage where I'm out all of the day. Sometimes I go out for a couple of hours, come back, or I do half a day or whatever. I'm very much a present parent. But what I never state is, I'm going to work as a negative thing. We've almost made a little dance, like mummy's going to work, kisses through the banisters, and he does, like, you know, it's very sweet, but he it's a positive thing. And I know, because when I have that time with him, I really try to be present, put phones away, do exciting things. We always say, like, what adventures are we going to go on today? And of course, that isn't always possible. Sometimes I do get a phone call, or, you know, logistics or life admin come into play. Of course, this is not a perfect scenario by any means, but really thinking about how you're talking about working with your children and what kind of picture you're painting about it. And if you really hate your job and where you're up to in your career, think about how you can talk, instead of, you know, shoving your bag down and going, I've had a terrible day. Think about how you can discuss it in a positive way and flip it around with your children in a way that isn't everything so much easier when you find something that you love, or isn't it easy when you follow your passion, or something like that. And so just being really conscious about language, and not being afraid to ask for help. I know my mum went and retrained as a teacher when I was 9, but this was in the very late 80s, early 90s, and the expectation for men was still like, well, if she wants to work, great, but I'm going to kind of carry on as normal. There weren't as many kind of modern men as there were now who could cook, or all of these kind of basic things. And I think we are lucky at the moment that I know my own partner, he is a partner. Like, he really steps up. He's amazing. He is a proper co-parent, not like, oh, could you make the sandwiches before you leave? Because I'm not really sure how to butter the bread. He knows how to do all of that kind of stuff. But also, as well, that's not to say that I've had to sometimes spell things out to him, or introduce a different conversation, or just because it worked before we had our child, this area of our life, doesn't mean that it's like, well, that's ticked off and that can never change. So making sure that dialogue is always open, and asking for help sometimes. And I often tell the story of, you know, when I had my son, he was a nearly 10-pound baby. It was a 3-day labor, and I had an emergency C-section in the end, which was not, you know, in the plan. You know, I thought I'd have Coldplay, the water, the works, you know, I thought it would be all of those things. And when I came out of hospital on the Friday, I had maybe 6 or 7 people in my living room and us. And I just think, blimey, and I was making the tea. And now if I am ever blessed to have another one, I will be saying no, or like, you can make the tea, you know, go to the cafe and do those kind of things. So not being afraid to ask for what you want. It's
ask for what you want, yeah. And delegate, right?
Yes. We can't do it all. We're not supposed to do it all. And why should we do it all? And I know when I'm running around like a headless chicken, my son's not getting the best out of me. Of course he's not. And neither is my partner, let's face it.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because in all honesty, my partner is actually South American and Caribbean. So there's a little bit of a cultural difference between us, because I'm French, I'm European. And I very rapidly became overwhelmed when I was raising my 2 young girls and running 2 businesses at once. A few years ago, I had a property business and a psychotherapy practice. And something that I did actually is I decided to let go of one of my businesses. I transitioned from therapy to coaching, and I created my team. So I hired a virtual assistant, and I got a lawyer on board. I got a social media expert on board so that I could delegate as much as possible in that respect. And I got a babysitter and a cleaner. Now, the cleaner was a bit of a sticking point between me and my partner, which is why I wanted to talk about.
Right.
Because, you know, because I work from home, I think for a long time he didn't
know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, he didn't really see that I was working, and very often he would come home and find me on Facebook.
What?
Right? And so it was difficult for him, I think, to understand what my work involved and the relationships that I was building and how I was promoting myself on social media. And he also sometimes commented on the dirty dishes in the sink, you know.
His own dirty dishes.
Well, you know, saying things like, well, you know, you're at home all day, like.
Yeah.
But I refused to engage in any kind of housework during the day, because between 9 and 3, that is my time to focus on my business. And what I decided to do instead is to get some support with that in the way of hiring a cleaner. So
And
Yes.
just to say, when people willy-nilly say, oh, I was just starting a business on my maternity leave, let's not get this twisted. It is hardcore in the beginning. It is full on. It tests every single part of you. So if somebody is just saying like, oh, I just started my business, and they're saying it in an easy breezy way, either they've got oodles of help and they've created this business beforehand, or they're 20 years on and they've forgotten that process at all. So I know that so many mums speak to me like, oh, I wish I could do it. And it's like, you can, but it is just, it's full on in the first few years. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to go back to something you said earlier about how you speak to your son about work. I really love what you said about that.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of something that I decided to change as well, because my girls, especially my small one, my 3-year-old, she often cries when I go to work. And my question, the question that my children always ask me is, why do you have to go? Why do you have to go to work, mummy? So, for me, it's always because I'm going to go and see a client, right? So either face-to-face or on Skype. And my answer used to be, well, mummy needs to earn a living. Mummy needs to make money in order to take you to Disney and take you on holidays and da-da-da. So that used to be my answer, but I changed actually, because I didn't want them to associate work with money only, although it's part of it. I now say, mummy's going to work because she loves her job. She really loves it.
Yeah.
And that felt better. But then came another challenge, because Ayani, my 7-year-old, then said, well, do you love your business more than us? Of course not. Oh my God. And my heart melted. And I said, there is nothing that I love more than you. Nothing at all. But I think the message that I wanted to give here is, it's okay for women to be completely in love with her kids and her home life, and also to be completely in love with her business. And I really want to take a stand for the and.
Yes.
It's not a neither one.
We were all of those things before we had our children. We loved our friends and our job and our man, our woman, our mum, our neighbour down the road. We did all of those things before. And that's why I've kind of named the pillars as coach, actor, writer, speaker, and mum, because they're all parts of me. And there are many, many other roles, of course, within that. But come on, because otherwise, what's the alternative? The alternative is that I quash my own creativity, my own dreams, my own hopes, my own wants. And what happens then is suddenly you have this reluctance to be where you are, that negativity around what you're doing. And my son, whatever he grows up to be, or whoever he grows up to want to share a life with or not, the people that are in his circle, I don't want him to hang out with people who go, yeah, I'm gonna sit back. I want him to be in those rooms where people are like, I'm doing this, I'm excited about this is what I want for my life, because that energy is infectious, and that's what makes change, and that's what makes lives differently, or trajectories go all over the place. So I need him to see that as well. But it's
what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift to your son. Something that I often say to my clients is, time and attention are not the only gifts you can give to your children.
Yeah.
Modeling tenacity and ambition and dream making is also a wonderful gift for your children. And so that's what you're giving to Oscar. Yeah.
Oh, that made me cry. But I mean, my parents, my mum was a teacher, my dad was a lawyer, both before they retired, and they had no idea what to do with the theatrical child in the sort of the practical sense of like, right, let's get her signed up for this theatre school. That wasn't in their because it wasn't their dream. Sometimes there's some pushy parents who go, right, you're going to do this, this and this because, it's fulfilling the parents' dreams. But what they did do is they kept showing me that there was a way, because in my school it was, I went to a very normal working class comprehensive school, and there weren't many big dreamers at all. And I think my parents saw that in me, that I was going, but I want that need for expansion. And I'm so happy that they did this. And they probably don't know this is, I'm saying it here, but they kept showing me other ways. They kept showing me what London looked like or what this documentary was about. They kept, broadening my horizons. And anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, we show the world, our version of the world, don't we, to our children.
Let me ask you something, Nicky, because you're all of these things. You're an actor, a speaker, a writer, a mum. So how the hell do you manage your time? I think a lot of mums will want to hear this because I know it's a sticking point for so many mums out there. So tell me about your time management strategies.
I say no a lot. I only do stuff that I really, really want to do. And it took me a long time to get to that because I was such a pleaser for many, many years. And actually, by making that decision to myself, like, is it worth it? Does it make me feel good? What kind of Marie Forleo says about this? Like, does it make me expand, or does it, whatever the opposite is? How does it make me feel? All of those kind of stuff. So I really try to be clear on what I'm working on at the moment. So I'm a very, very visual person. I like to see stuff above my computer. And one thing that I do is really try and work in a way that works for me. So sometimes, because of the nature of our job, I might only have 2 or 3 hours to be able to work on my business for that day. But I have to make sure those things that I'm doing are really going to work for me, not kind of messing around on whatever, social media or things like that. So I write a lot of stuff down. I know it's really basic, but it really helps me to get clear, to map things out, to see it in front of me, to know where I'm going and what I'm building. And then in terms of priorities, delegating and working to my own rhythm has really helped me. Sometimes people bring their own energy to you in terms of like, can you send this over immediately? And before, it made me go, oh, I've got to send it over. And it's like, no, it doesn't need to be sent over. If it does need to be sent over immediately, if it's a document or something like that, of course, I will make it happen if I can do that. But really taking a step back and trying to work on my pace and create my own boundaries for myself has been really useful. Because there are times where I can't get back to that person immediately. I will try before the end of the day, or sometimes things come up, and that's life as well. So being clear on what I want and where I'm going has been absolutely crucial. How about you?
Similar to you. I think there's 2 main strategies for me in terms of time management. The first one is single tasking. It was so hard.
Oh my God, totally. I'm one of those people that has all the tabs open, like, because that's just the way that my brain works, and I have to keep closing them down. Sorry, this is all about you. Single tasking. Do you know, I'm a real working machine, and because I've always been a high performer, I've always worked incredibly hard on multiple projects, multitasking, and literally working myself to the bone. Like, I reached a point where I became unwell because of that and so stressed out. So this is the reason that I wanted to learn the art of single tasking, and it's something that I learned from my own coach who taught me that. Doing one thing at a time and really laser focusing on one thing at a time. So when I'm working, I'm working. I'm not picking up the phone. I'm not getting Facebook notifications. I'm very clear about that with my kids as well. So if I happen to work during family time, I'll say, right, okay, it's movie time. You're going to watch a movie for an hour. Mummy needs to make a phone call. And I'm very clear. I'm very boundaried with like that. And when I'm with them, I'm completely with them, 100%. Yes.
So I like to give things my undivided attention. That really works for me. And the second thing is slowing down. Again, I was very much running on that treadmill, and I did that for so many years, and I wasn't really getting the results that I wanted in my business. And the turning point for me, as I was saying to you earlier, was when I learned to slow down and really concentrate on the only thing that matters for all business owners, which is to be in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
No business transactions happen outside of a conversation, and therefore your only job as an entrepreneur, and I'm talking to all the busy moms out there, your only job as an entrepreneur is to be in a conversation. So I've really eased up on social media, on all the busy work, all of the non-money making activities. And all I'm doing now, really on a daily basis, is create powerful conversations with people in order to create potential working relationships or potential joint ventures, or just friendships and just amazing relationships with other human beings. And this is how my business has really boomed and prospered. So,
and it's lovely. I really, I crave that. I am an introvert, but I really do crave actual conversation with people. And, writing a post and getting 20 likes on it, of course, it's a little like, oh, people have read it. Great. But I don't know that, really, unless somebody comments or says or things like that. So conversation is everything. I totally agree. And also I was thinking the other day I had a real clear out of all my social media, people on Instagram that I was following, people on Twitter, and I just unfollowed loads and loads of people. It felt great. And there were some people, but the people that I really follow and engage with is because I've met them in person. And I've had a real life situation with them. So what you're saying is absolutely bang on.
We could go on for hours, couldn't we?
I know. Should we do part 2 another time?
I think we should.
Yes.
Let's conclude this gorgeous conversation with something really special. Like thinking about those moms out there who are in business, who are in a corporate job, who have children and who have dreams. If you could give them one magical piece of advice, what would it be?
Firstly, give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to do it, because there is so much noise out there. Media, people in your family, people who are close to you, who will have an opinion on every single part of your life. But when you want to make a change or switch things up or need a new rhythm or change or things like that. So you'll probably notice the feeling first. You'll notice that intuition. And I did a post about it earlier, actually, that I know when things are not right because I can feel it in my body. I get weird stomach aches. I get breakouts. I get headaches. I just feel a bit crap, basically. And I know that I need to check in, like, okay, what's going on there? So it's that awareness of listening to that intuition of like, all right, things have got to change, and then giving yourself permission to actually take action. And many of my clients, I always say this, haven't often, whatever it is that they want, haven't spoken to the people who are closest in their life. They haven't spoken to their partner or their mother-in-law or their best friend or their boss or anything like that. It's a very private conversation usually, because it hasn't been aired. So giving yourself permission to venture out of that bubble. It might be very, very slowly. It's like that hungry caterpillar kind of creeping out a little bit, and just start to dip your toe into the next little bit of what is to come. Because whatever happens, you're never going to know all of those things. You really are. And actually, you're not supposed to, because when you know everything, it's too overwhelming. It's too scary. So that's what I would say. I would say give yourself permission and start taking baby steps, and know that it's all okay. And if you don't feel like you can give yourself permission, Nancy and I are giving you permission. We're saying it right now because we're doing it, and we're saying it live on the internet, you know?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Do you know what? I would also make it about permission. And for me, it would be about giving yourself permission to stop trying to be a Wonder Woman or a Superwoman or a Supermom.
Yeah.
That gets really boring and exhausting. And my invitation is that you try and be you instead. You don't have to work, super hard and work yourself to the bone, and you don't have to do everything and be all things to all people. In fact, the more you learn how to be selfish and how to be you, the more you can be of really high service to your clients and your family as well.
Mm-hmm.
So don't try to be a Wonder Woman, just be
and
you.
You don't have to do everything at once. Sometimes things take time, they really do. And those things of, I see those adverts, so, the overnight successes, and I started my business and 2 weeks later I was making 7 figures. That's great, but if you've got a screaming child who just wants to, be breastfed and dangle on your shoulder all days and times of the night, don't beat yourself up because you're not doing that. Now might not be the perfect time for you to create world domination, but it might be the right time to start taking the first steps.
Great. So, Nicky,
Me too, part 2.
How do we get in touch with you?
You can come to my website, nickyraby.com, NICKYRABY. I'm all across social media at Nicky Raby. I've got a freebie section on my website, so if you want to, dip your toe in and find out more in terms of videos or something like that, I share loads of content on there, and you can join my newsletter and all of that kind of jazz. And I would love to hear in the comments below what people got from the conversation or what they want to know more of, because I'm always all about giving value, and there's no point, spouting on about any old kind of rubbish if it's not being useful to people. So if there are any particular questions, comment under this video, and hopefully we'll keep the conversation going. That would be amazing.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I loved it. I love talking about this sort of stuff. And also, in this conversation, my cleaner has been, which, it's just a dream. I'm going to get back and be like, oh, it looks nice.
Perfect.
Yeah, it'll be great. And share your details as well, Nancy. Make sure everybody, because I'm going to add this on my YouTube channel as well. So if that's okay.
Sure. So I created a free audio training for mums in business who want to free up 5 hours of their weekly schedule, at least in 5 minutes. It literally does take 5 minutes. It's a quick, fun exercise for you to really look at the things that you can let go of, the things that are draining your energy right now, and to give yourself permission to delegate or completely cross off your list. So it is a free audio training that comes with a workbook, and it's available at nancyflores.com/fierce freedom. What I want to say to you is that you shouldn't have to choose between motherhood and success. You shouldn't have to choose between passion and profit. You can absolutely raise your own children and bring in 5-figure month. It is possible, and it takes that fierce focus that we talked about today. So go for it.
Yeah, and surround yourself with people who support you. Sorry, I just have to add that. If there are people in your NCT group or in your local play group or whatever that make you feel like rubbish, leave the group. Don't engage in the conversation. Walk away.
Yeah.
Even if you've done it every Tuesday for coffee at 11 a.m., you can leave. I'm giving you permission. Don't stay in groups that don't serve you, because you're going to need all your energy and all of that kind of good stuff to move you forward. So, sorry, I just had to add that in the last minute.
Love it. Ladies, I hope this was of service to you. Thank you so much, Nicky. Love you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Watch this space for part 2.
Bye. See ya. Bye.